Magyar szólások és közmondások angolul beszélőknek.
Hungarian sayings and proverbs for English speakers. On the road.
Rossz útról nehéz visszatérni.
Let's take this one apart. The main word that we're looking at today is út, road. Rossz means bad. It means a bit more than that. It also means wrong, wicked, evil, dirty, even muddy when it's applied to roads. Nehéz usually is given as heavy or hard. It can also mean troublesome, difficult, arduous. We have a útról after the út, and that means away from. So remember, we have the three. Rá goes onto, on is in place, and ról is away from. Which leaves us our verb. It's an infinitive, you can tell because it ends in an ni, and it has two bits. The root of the verb is ter, which means to turn. If it's a noun, it can also mean a square or a space, as in a room. But here is a verb, so it's turn. And in front of it, the prefix is and vissa means back. So visszatérni, to turn back, to return. Word by word. Bad road from, hard back turn to. It's hard to come back from a bad road. That is, he regrets the road already travelled, but he won't turn back. Let's look at various words in Hungarian for ways, roads, streets. So we've already got the first one, út, road. If it's a public road, közút. If it's a main road, an open road, as in between a couple of towns, országút. And what you'll also often find is that on either side of these roads there will be a dirty great ditch, and we're talking about something a couple of metres deep sometimes, and often no shoulders. The next level up, autóút, an expressway. So you can't just drive onto it if your property is next to the road. You have to go on through a ramp or a specific entry point. And sometimes there's separation of traffic, so like a dividing barrier. It's not that common in Hungary, actually. The fancy end is your autópálya, your motorway. So you've got separated traffic, definitely on an autópálya, and you have a slightly wider lanes than an autóút. And of course, walking and parking are forbidden. There is usually an emergency lane. You only use that for emergencies, and you have to put out your wee triangle and flash lights and everything like that. Hungary actually provides crossing points not only for cars, bikes, whatever, but also wildlife. And so you see these corridors across the roads. Of course, what is not permitted on autóút or autópálya are cyclists, tractors and horses. Speed limits. So in town, basically it's 50. On an ordinary non-urban road, it's 90. Your autóút is 110 and your autópálya is 130. There can be some variations. An obvious difference between driving in New Zealand and Hungary is Hungary drives on the right. Keep that in mind if you decide to be driving a manual. Your muscle memory will be all mixed up. The other time that you need to keep an eye on things is when you actually turn on a multi-lane road. But unlike keep left in New Zealand, keep right in Hungary means returning to the rightmost lane if you're not passing another vehicle. Quite different from New Zealand. Driving down a multi-lane motorway is like watching a complex fabric being woven. A difference that I really like is that there is a 0 alcohol limit when driving in Hungary. Not one drink. What about in the cities? In a city, you don't have an út, you have an utca. Now, oddly, út and utca come from completely different roots. Út is an old Ugaric word, and it is related to the idea of journey or travel. So an út goes between settlements. Utca has Slavic roots, and that is a place where people basically live. The other difference is when you talk about an út, a road, you are on a road. It's considered to be a flat surface. Utca is actually considered to be a container. You are in a street. Sugarút is an avenue, as we have in Debrecen going up to the university. And it comes from the prefix sugar, which means a ray or a beam. So we're looking at a long, straight road, often quite wide. Köz can be a small street or a lane. Sikátor is an alleyway, so that's something a bit smaller. Zug is normally used to mean a nook or cranny, but it can also mean a blind street. Járda is a footpath. Comes from jár, meaning he or she moves. Gyalog is to go by foot. That is walk. When you learn Hungarian, they often teach you sétál, meaning walk. Sétál has a slightly different meaning. Gyalog means you're going from point A to point B, and you're walking, you're going on your feet. Sétál is more of a leisurely stroll. So sétál, strictly speaking, is a stroll, not walking. And jámű, move, thing, is a vehicle. Let's explore that word tér, because it has quite a few prefixes to give you different flavours of the word. Átér valamire is to cross over or switch over. This can be both literal, as in crossing over the road, or it can be figurative, as in change the subject. Betér valakihez, drop in on somebody, visit them. Eltér iránytól, deviate from a direction or course. And again, it can be either literal or figurative. Eltér a tárgytól, digress from the subject. Hazatér, it stands alone, it just means to turn homewards, return home. Kitér valaki elől, avoid somebody. So here we don't actually have a suffix, we have a postposition. However, the same verb can take a suffix. Kitér valamire is to mention something. The meaning can change depending on what suffix you use. English is exactly the same. Drop in, drop off, drop by means slightly different things. Pick up, pick on, pick off. Quite different meanings.
Rossz útról nehéz visszatérni.
He regrets a road already travelled. I hope you don't regret your journey into Hungarian. How's it going for you? Why not leave a comment below and share your journey? Jó utat!